Hi everybody, time for another School Connect lesson for our social emotional learning class. This is lesson 1.15, Understanding Mindsets. It's kind of a long one, so to keep things a little shorter, we're going to break this into two pieces. So this video will be the first half, there will be another video coming soon for the second half. Now let's take a look at our essential questions. Now, the essential questions guide the lesson, but remember, we're not worried about answering them right now, but they are three. First, what are the two types of mindsets and how do they differ? So we should be looking for two specific types of mindsets, and we should be thinking we're going to have to learn the differences between them. Second, which mindset is more likely to motivate us to learn and grow as a person? Notice it says more likely, right? And third, how do we develop our mindset? Now, that we're not going to talk so much about that one in this video. That's more a subject for the next video coming after this. But we are going to talk about how to develop the mindset that you want based on the one you think is most helpful. Let's move on. Okay, so let's start thinking about these two mindsets we said we were going to learn about. The first one we're going to talk about is a fixed mindset. And if something is fixed, it means that it's solidly in place. It's not changing, it can't grow or move. It's fixed in place, right? Think about something that's glued down or something set in concrete that's fixed. So we look at Fred Fixed here, looks like a great guy, and we see what he's thinking, right? You see that? I can't do these algebra problems. I'm just no good at math. Because Fred believes intelligence and other abilities are fixed. You're either born with it or you're not. So there's not much you can do to change that in Fred's mindset. Fred thinks he's bad at math. So Fred thinks he was born kind of bad at math. And Fred thinks he's going to be kind of bad at math all his life. He doesn't expect to get any better. Okay, finally we see Greg Growth, right? Which is a weird name to give a guy, but it is referring to a growth mindset, right? And we see that Greg is thinking, I don't know how to do these algebra problems yet, but I love a challenge. Because Greg believes that with time and effort, he can develop his abilities and get better at any skill. So it's less important to Greg whether he feels really solidly good at these math problems today than it is to think about what he's going to do to get better and better at them until they're easy. Okay, so here we see the fixed mindset versus growth mindset side by side. Remember, our essential question asked us, how do mindsets differ, right? So let's think about some differences here. As we run down each of these, I'm just going to go really quick if I can because there's a lot here, right? On Fred's side of things, the fixed mindset, Fred avoids challenges and prefers repeating previous successes. Fred gives up easily when he sees obstacles. Fred ignores useful negative feedback. If someone offers criticism, he lets it slide off him. When Fred has a failure, he blames the circumstances, or he blames other people, or he sees it as a lack of talent that he can't do anything about. When Fred sees other people be successful, he feels threatened by that success of others because, again, in his mindset, that means they're better than he is, like they're more talented than he is. And lastly, when it comes to working with others, Fred acts competitively with others because the fixed mindset tells him that when he's working with others, he needs to show that he's better than everybody else rather than try to work together on things. So let's look at Greg's side of this chart. The growth mindset, right? When it comes to challenges, the growth mindset loves challenges and learning new things, even if that involves failure, because even though failure is no fun, learning and growing and getting better at something is fun, right? When the growth mindset encounters obstacles, it allows Greg to persist in the face of setbacks because he knows he can overcome those. Greg can learn from criticism, so he tries to take criticism on board and learn from it and react to it. When Greg has failures, he sees those as an indication that he should apply more effort. The failures are an opportunity to grow and come back and succeed the next time. When Greg sees success for other people, he finds lessons and inspiration in that success. He's looking at people whose success he would like to have, and he tries to emulate what they did, or at least the best of what they did to get there. And when working with others, because Greg has this growth mindset and he thinks he can learn from those other people and pick up from them and they can pick up from him, he can work collaboratively with others rather than having to compete all the time, right? Now, one thing I want you to keep in mind is that both of these guys, these are not good people and bad people, okay? We all have a fixed mindset about some things, and we all have a growth mindset about some things in our lives. We are not saying that if you have any fixed mindset attitudes, you're a bad person or anything, right? That would be a fixed way of looking at it. But what I do want you to see is that both of these guys' reaction to things makes sense logically based on their mindsets. All right, let's keep going. Okay, now we're getting close to the end of our time for this video. So we're going to watch this video, The Power of Belief, Mindset, and Success by Eduardo Briseño, where he's going to talk to us about what being a chess champion, a martial arts champion, and a 7th grade student all have in common in terms of mindset. There'll be a couple of questions in the midst of this, and we'll take a look at a couple questions after, and then we're going to wrap things up for this video. So bear with me, please.
What do you think is the key to achieving our goals, our success? Some people suggest things like hard work, focus, persistence. But research shows these are all byproducts of something else, something much more powerful that we can all develop. And it is this very special something that really is critical to success, and it's what I'm here to discuss with you today. Someone who has achieved great success is Josh Waitzkin, a chess international master and the subject of the movie Searching for Bobby Fischer. Nobody else has won all the national chess championships that Josh has. But even more impressive, when he turned 21, he took on the challenge of mastering something completely new and very different from chess: martial arts. He realized he had learned how to grow and succeed, and he could apply that understanding to other domains. So he relentlessly devoted himself to Tai Chi Chuan, and after lots of hard work, many failures, and even some broken joints, he became a great martial artist and he won 2 world championships. Now he's off to his next challenge, Jiu-Jitsu. So what does Josh say is the greatest thing that ever happened to him? Believe it or not, he says, losing my first national chess championship because it helped me avoid many of the psychological traps. The key trap that Josh avoided was thinking that he was special, that he was smarter than other people, and that he didn't have to work hard. He could have thought of himself as a prodigy, but he doesn't consider that he has extraordinary intelligence. He says, the moment we believe that success is determined by an ingrained level of ability, we will be brittle in the face of adversity. Josh often cites Stanford professor Carol Dweck, who discovered that some people see intelligence or abilities as fixed, what is called a fixed mindset, while others see them as Josh does, as qualities that can be developed, a growth mindset. Most important, what Dr. Dweck discovered is that these 2 different mindsets lead to different behaviors and different results. In one study that she did with Dr. Lisa Blackwell, several hundred 7th graders were surveyed to determine which mindset each student had, and then they were tracked over 2 years. Results showed that the students with a growth mindset, those who thought they could change their intelligence, improved their grades over time, while those with a fixed mindset did not. You can see the trend. The gap in performance increases and increases over time. The difference between those groups? A different perspective on intelligence. Other research has shown similar effects for our mindset about different abilities, like problem solving, or playing sports, or managing people. And this really applies to any ability that we're interested in. The key to success is not simply effort, or focus, or resilience, but it is the growth mindset that creates them. The mindset itself is critical. Research shows that efforts to directly build perseverance or grit are not nearly as effective as addressing the mindset that underlies them. How many of us think that we're not math people, or creative, or sociable, or athletic? Or conversely, that we're naturals? If we're to fulfill and continue to expand our potential, We have to think differently. We have to realize that we're not chained to our current competencies. Neuroscience shows how malleable the brain is and how we can change our own ability to think and to perform. In fact, many of the most accomplished people of our era were thought of by experts to have no future. People like Marcel Proust, Charles Darwin, Lucille Ball, and many others. But they, along with all great achievers, from Mozart to Einstein, built their abilities. The key insight that I would like you to walk away with today is that when we realize that we can change our abilities, that is, when we adopt a growth mindset, we bring our game to new levels. Listen for your fixed mindset voice. And when you hear it, talk back with a growth mindset voice. If you hear yourself saying, "I can't do it," add "yet."
So, when we think about the video debriefing, right? What does Mr. Briseno say is the key to achieving our goals? He says it's thinking with a growth mindset, right? What did Josh Waitkins say was the greatest thing that ever happened to him and why? He told us the best thing that ever happened was losing his first national chess championship. And he said the reason that is good is because there are mental traps for people who succeed too easily. And he didn't fall into those because he had that failure to learn from. What was the result of the experiment with 7th grade students? Do you remember? Basically, we would say those with a growth mindset increased their grades over time, or they grew academically over time. Those with a fixed mindset actually decreased over time, right, in comparison. So then the question that I'm not going to ask you to answer for me, but maybe for yourself, what did you take away from this video? What's important to you about it? All right, so we're going to wrap up with me just asking you to think about this question. You don't have to give me an answer. But the bell ringer question we didn't do was you go to tryouts for an activity you enjoy and you feel good at, like band, drama, or sports, but you don't make the first cut. What would you think? How would you feel? And what would you do in response to that? How would a growth mindset respond? How would a fixed mindset respond? Remember Carol Dweck? She was quoted in the video. Another thing that Carol Dweck famously said was right here. Mindsets are just beliefs. They are powerful beliefs, but you can change them.